We've got a Fox News and Fox and Friends exclusive. The Department of Homeland Security is sharing never-before-released data that gives an in-depth look at the number of DACA requesters who have arrest records. New data shows that nearly 13% of total DACA recipients had a previous arrest. However, arrests did not always result in criminal or civil charges or convictions. Here more with the exclusive statistics is Director for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Francis Cisna, joins us from our nation's capital. Francis, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so why did you put these numbers together?
So I run the agency that administers DACA, and as your viewers may know, we still have DACA. It's still in the books. The courts are not letting us take it down. And while we're doing that, I wanted to put out as much data as possible about DACA so that the public and lawmakers know the full universe of data that we have so they can make informed policy decisions. Now, our agency isn't just putting out information about DACA. It's trying to put out, in the interest of full transparency, as much data about all visa programs as possible. And we have published in the past few months data about DACA applicants, including what countries they're from, what their educational levels are, whether they needed interpreters,
right.
All this sort of information. This is just the latest in a stream of information that we're putting out on DACA so that people have a better information.
All right, so some of this data is shocking. We've got another graphic to show people the number of DACA requesters, people asking for DACA protections, who had more than one arrest. It's 55% were approved, right?
That's right. So the rules for DACA are that you are excluded from DACA if you have a felony conviction, three misdemeanor convictions, three or more misdemeanor convictions, or a conviction for a significant misdemeanor. So you have to have a conviction on those. You could be arrested a whole lot of times and still get DACA.
Francis, who came up with the 3 times for each of those things? I mean, you would think that if you were involved in something big, for instance, some of the people on this list were accused of murder, you would think that it would be one and done. You'd be out.
Well, now, the data that we're putting out is only arrests. So presumably those people who had murder arrests or rape arrests or other arrests of that type of seriousness either got acquitted or the charges were dropped or they pled down or something, I would hope. But there are a lot of crimes on the list that we publish of misdemeanors, and they could have been convicted and still gotten DACA if they only had up to 2 of those misdemeanors.
Right, so it's 3 and you're out.
That's right.
We've got one more graphic. The top offenses of approved DACA requesters with a prior arrest record. About 40% were related to driving, excluding DUI. 22% immigration-related, 12% theft, larceny, and about 9% drug-related. But you did say that a number of people had arrests for murder, rape, you name anything, and somebody's on the list who committed that.
That's right. And I think what I would like people to keep in mind, in particular policymakers on the Hill who are discussing all this stuff right now, is whatever they do, I would hope that we at USCIS retain the discretion to be able to turn down somebody for whatever benefit that we're contemplating for these people if we think they're a public safety threat, even if they don't have a conviction. There are a lot of situations where you could have someone who's a gang member or something like that. They may not have a conviction, but I would like my agency to be able to deny that person the benefit even if they don't have an actual conviction.
I know, Francis, right now, Congress this week is going to try to attempt to come up with a solution. But if lawmakers are watching, how would you give them guidance?
I would say, like I just said, continue to give the agency, as we have right now under current DACA rules, give us the discretion to deny people this benefit, this legalization, if we think that they're a public safety threat, even if they don't have a conviction.
All right, let's see what happens. Francis Cisna, we thank you very much for joining us from our nation's capital, and thank you for sharing these exclusive numbers with our Fox and Friends audience. Thank you, sir.